All right, so we have Season 11 of Overwatch 2. Obviously, we have our own game mode. Not game mode in here, but we have a part of a community-crafted one, which we'll talk about, show you what the patch notes are, etc., all right? Here we go. Join Ultra Watch for an action-packed season. Suit up and battle the forces of evil led by the fallen mythic Calamity Empress Ashe and her sidekick Bob. Then claim and customize Mythic Ashe's diabolical Dark Mage style for your own. Celebrate as Overwatch reaches 100 million players, marked by the long-requested return of Pink Mercy alongside a new Rose Gold Mercy bundle from June 25th, July 8th. I keep saying, let's smash the record we saw last time, which was 12.7 million. Blizzard will donate 100% of the purchase price, excluding any applicable platform fees and taxes, to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Continue the celebration by unlocking the Aztec Summer Bundle through challenges and enjoy a fun, community-crafted mode curated by beloved streamers. Speaking of community-crafted mode, dive into a new community-crafted mode featuring creative and chaotic balance changes and fun hero tweaks designed by your favorite content creators emongg, Custa, TQQ, and SK. Bring their creative touches to tank, projectile damage, hit scan damage, and support heroes respectively. Experience wacky hero abilities such as Baptiste sharing his kit with Ana, and Reaper's Wraith form getting an extra sting. I'm going to be honest with you. Wait till you see my changes, because they didn't even scratch the surface on some of the things we did here. First of all, Hero Mastery updates. Sharpen your kunai and master your aim when Hero Mastery single-player courses for both Kiriko and Soldier 76 launch this season. Practice your Swift Step, and power up Tactical Visor as you take part in new challenges in a limited time event from June 20th to July 9th. Plus, earn new rewards and up to 22,500 Battle Pass XP for Soldier 76 and Kiriko. And obviously, they mentioned they were getting rid of the co-op. New map, we got Runasapi. Hike your way up the new Runasapi push map to a town hidden in the Peruvian Andes. Amble through marketplaces full of fresh and pay a visit to the fresh produce and pay a visit to the Inti Warrior Historical Museum and Monument. This exciting push map is vibrant and challenging as you escort TS1 through the tight streets. Watch out as some fights may take precariously close to the steep cliffs overlooking the sunny farmlands below. I will say, I am excited about this. A new push map. I mean, we haven't had a new push map in a long time, and honestly, those game modes need more maps. See you live. Thanks for the 4 months of the Features Prime stuff. Weekly challenge catch-up. I like this, by the way. All past incomplete weekly challenges can be completed at any time in a given season. When the weekly reset occurs on Tuesdays, incomplete weekly challenges gain an additional copy of that challenge. When a weekly challenge is completed, if that challenge has copies remaining, the challenge will refresh and can be completed again. I love this change. It allows players to take a break from Overwatch and come back and catch up on weeklies. Also, just a side note here. We give a shout out to Larry for doing this. The only reason why I know is because Gavin gave a shout out to Larry. Apparently, this was Larry's new to the team or one of his first projects on this, and Larry popped off with this. I think the weekly challenge is good. The update to it, that is. Weekly milestones are challenges progressed by completing other weekly challenges. Each week, a new weekly milestone is unlocked. All past weekly milestones can be completed at any time in a given season. Weekly milestones progress one at a time. All past weekly milestones must be completed to progress a weekly milestone. All right, competitive play updates. Developer comment here. Oh, there's no dev comment. Rank percentage is now displayed on the competitive progress page, allowing you to check your exact percentage without playing another match. I like that. Rename the modifiers win streak and loss streak to win trend and loss trend to more accurately convey that these modifiers are calculated by weighing the most recent games more heavily, but that they are not true streaks. I get what you're saying, because people saw a win streak or loss streak, and you were like, we need to change that. It's a bit more clear. Added more parameters for how the matchmaker handles wide groups so they can ensure better queue times. A button that allows you to view the match's final scoreboard has been added to each page during the end of game flow. I will say, it all sounds great. I mean, they're going to make updates, things we won't even understand. So, on to hero updates. Okay, so these are not the arcade changes we worked on that we did, etc. Just to point this out. These are specifically for the live game. Okay, we'll get to ours in a bit. First of all, developer comment. The knockdown... Oh, sorry, this is what they did. Knockdown time when two charging abilities collide reduced from 2 to 1.7 seconds. An example of this is two Reinhardts charge each other. Rather than being stuck on the ground for 2 seconds, it will be 1.7 seconds now. The dev comments say this stun time reduction applies to the knockdown that happens when two charging abilities collide and result in a tie, with Reinhardt, Doomfist, Brigitte, Mauga, and Bob. The counterplay and interaction of two charging abilities impacting each other is great, but it took players out of the fight a little too long. I mean, that's good for tanks and other heroes, I guess. It just makes it so you don't have as much less downtime during that. So I don't mind that. All right, now we're on to D.Va. Fusion cannons. Weapon spread reduced from 3.75 to 3.375 degrees. My understanding of this is that that's going to make it so you basically just have a little bit less spread, which makes it easier to be able to kill squishier targets. Boosters, impact damage increased from 15 to 25. The dev comments say these changes will improve D.Va's effectiveness against smaller targets as she has become less effective against armored enemies in the previous patch. I will say, saying that D.Va has become less effective against armored enemies in the previous patch is an understatement. D.Va was, like, way worse. I will say, good to see some buffs here. I don't know how it will be. I will say being able to... This spread change is actually huge, and then the booster one is just good for, like, securing a kill as well as just kind of adapting to the new changes. So, I do like these buffs. How D.Va will feel, couldn't tell you, but a little bit better. Junker Queen, Jagged Blade, now pulls tanks further. Needed to happen. Basically, what this means is that the Junker Queen, when you would pull, it just didn't work as intended. And then Rampage, startup time reduced from 0.75 to 0.5 seconds. Okay. Kind of interested on this one, by the way, chat, because when we were doing some changes for our arcade mode, this is something I wanted. So I wanted to make Junker Queen invulnerable during the ultimate, and they said, well, what if we made it so her startup time was easier? Well, now it looks like it's actually gone to the live game, where the startup time has gotten better. I felt like that was going to be a better thing. I forgot what I made my startup time, but it's cool to see they brought that into the live game, because that was something that we had recommended. That is something that we had recommended. I don't know if my exact number was there, though. I swear. Why do I see this hero? This is a nerf, right? No, it can't be. It can't be, because Orisa got nerfed so heavily. This is a buff. Javelin spin cooldown reduced from 9 to 8 seconds. They can't resist. They cannot resist buffing Orisa. They can't. I know this isn't like a huge major change to the hero, but they cannot resist. They just have to buff her. Orisa, I'm sorry, but Orisa is the new Genji when it comes to changes. Remember the memes about Genji getting nerfed all the time? Orisa getting buffed and then nerfed and then buffed and then nerfed is now the new meme. We're past the days of Genji getting nerfed. We're on to the days of Orisa being in every single patch. The other comments, Orisa's survivability was reduced more than necessary in her last round of changes, so we're partially reverting the cooldown increase to the javelin spin. We'll see. I just all the time. All right, Roadhog. Take a breather. Damage reduction reduced from 50 to 40%. And base health reduced from 650 to 600. Developer comments, Roadhog's already powerful survivability, I mean, we knew that, increased significantly with the headshot damage reduction, we saw that coming, from the tank roll passive, so these tank changes, or these changes that help bring back that in line. So, Roadhog did get nerfed. Oh, and by the way, I recognize that like the javelin spin thing probably won't make an impact on Orisa too large there. It's more on the lines of just like, they can't resist not doing something with Orisa in these patches. That's more of what we're talking about there. So, with Roadhog being nerfed, Orisa still being there, yeah. There's no Mauga changes. I'm surprised. The only reason why I don't think they did anything with Mauga is because I think they just, like, the stats probably don't back up justifying nerfing Mauga. Because the feeling of playing against Mauga is bad. Okay, so those are all the tank changes for this beginning of the season. I'm going to be honest with you. And chat, you can give me your take on this too. I don't know if tank will shift that much with these changes. I really don't. Let me see the difference between like the damage changes and like the support changes to see if maybe there's else there, but I don't think that will change anything with how tank feels, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think the feeling of tank will change. But let me see what the rest are, and we'll kind of go from there. Cassidy, secondary fire, fan the hammer, damage reduced from 50 to 45, and the combat roll damage reduction reduced from 75 to 50%. Okay. Wow, Cass just got hit with a nerf. Holy crap. So you have a bunch of less damage now with right click, and you have the damage roll reduction. So that means that if they're nerfing Cass, then they're probably going to nerf Sojourn too, only because Cassidy and Sojourn have been the problem in these recent patches. Developer comments. We're reverting the magnetic grenade ability to be deployed like Cassidy's previous flashbang ability, but it will keep the hinder effect instead of a full stun. Perfect. I get to say huge hinder still. We've heard feedback surrounding the magnetic grenade ability and agree that while the fantasy of a homing grenade was fun, no, it wasn't. The moment-to-moment gameplay of it often felt too unpredictable as to whether it would land or not. No, it just sucked to play against. The hinder effect has been a useful tool to act as a counter to high-mobility heroes without going back to a full stun and the enemy player losing the ability to fight back. I don't disagree with bringing like the hinder-type effect into the game, but having being a homing missile was not good. The Deadeye Ultimate is getting an adjustment to increase its flexibility toward the end of its duration, enabling it to get value outside of buying time for Cassidy or his abilities. Oh, wow. Chat, my bad. I didn't read those patch notes. I didn't realize it was a full damn paragraph. Let me look after. I was getting confused. I'm like, wait, what? Though it may be riskier to hold for a long time as the damage reduction will fade away along with the movement speed ability. Okay, and then for Flashbang, it's now called... Magnetic Grenade is now called Flashbang, so we're officially on to Flashbang again. Hinder enemies instead of stunning them for 1.2 seconds. Movement speed reduction increased from 30 to 50%. Uh-oh. Hinder now prevents crouching. Oh, that's gonna... I'm gonna be honest with you. That feels unnecessary. That just feels awful. I'm gonna be honest with you, and that just feels like that's not gonna be fun. Like, you just can't crouch. Maybe I'm seeing that. Like, yeah, BAP's gonna have no fun, but I feel like the crouch thing probably not gonna be ideal. 45 explosion damage, 12-second cooldown. That one's the only thing. Everything else, okay, I get it. This one I'm confused by. But wait, that wouldn't even change anything for BAP, because, like, even as BAP, you couldn't go up into the air during Hinder. Does that make sense? All right, Deadeye. Movement speed penalty? Movement speed penalty now scales down over time. Chad, I gotta stop for a second, because I just saw what the next hero is, and I swear if that's a buff. Okay. Movement speed. Penalty now scales over time from 70 to 35%. Damage reduction now scales down over time from 40 to 0%. So it sounds like the longer your Deadeye lasts, the deadlier it gets.
Content, but
the less likely, the more likely they can get you. That's what it sounds like. Okay, on to the next stuff. We have May. Secondary fire base projectile size reduced from 0.5 to 0.12. Okay, that's a nerf, right? And then the secondary fire damage increased from 75 to 85. Okay, the dev comments say, May's damage output over time is intended to be on the low end for a damage hero, as she offers strong utility and survivability through her ability kit. But we would like to make the secondary fire icicle more rewarding by increasing the damage and slightly more difficult to land consistently. Honestly, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm a streamer, so I need to find every area of opportunity to overreact and get angry about something. I'm fine with that. Seems like a fair trade-off. Harder shot to hit, does a little bit more damage. I'm okay with that. You know? I got nothing. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. You know? All right, Reaper. Hellfire shotguns, weapon spread reduced from 6.5 to 6. That means it's just going to be easier to hit your shots. Shadow Step cast time reduced from 1.5 to 1.2. This just seems like this right here, this change is because Reaper got nerfed heavily. I'm going to explain why. Reaper got nerfed heavily against tanks, so they're starting to shift Reaper away as a tank buster into more of like a go make other plays type of hero. Keep in mind, I still think Reaper is in that tank buster category, but I think that Reaper is slowly falling out of that, so they're just trying to make Reaper better. With the previous patch change to how armor reduces damage, shotgun weapon heroes like Reaper lost some value since much of their game plan revolved around pressuring large tank heroes. To help shift Reaper towards being more effective against smaller targets, we're tightening the weapon spread on the Hellfire shotguns and reducing the amount of time enemies have to react to his Shadow Step teleport. Seems fine to me. I'm okay with that. I have no issue with that. Seems fine. They're doing the same thing they did with D.Va. Trying to get the Reaper from shooting the tank to go into more backline base pressure. Sojourn. Please be a nerf. Sojourn. Railgun. Secondary fire damage scaling reduced from 30 to 130 down to 1 to 100. That's good. That is good. The right click got nerfed. Secondary fire projectile no longer requires overclock to pierce enemy players. Ooh. So they nerfed the damage, but now you can pierce enemies more. Uh-oh. Primary fire shots per second increased from 14 to 16. And then overclock energy charge rate increased from 100 to 120? Uh-oh. Okay, I'm not going to overreact to this yet, but I will say, doesn't this feel like this wasn't to nerf the hero, it was to put the power elsewhere? Because, like, it feels like it almost ended up being a buff. Like, on paper, it's a nerf, but I feel like the piercing the enemy players thing, maybe I'm seeing it differently. That's the problem, because, like, you can now, I don't know. As a tank player, I see this and I go, well, I'm going to have a slight bit more survivability, but I'm just going to get rolled anyway because the soldier's just going to farm me. I don't know. This is one that I can't see, but I think somebody made a perfect statement in the chat. They nerfed Cassidy like crazy for the most part, and then they just kind of like redid. You know what this reminds me of? You know what this reminds me of? Kiriko. This reminds me of Kiriko, where they constantly try to make changes to Kiriko, but then they also at the same time will make buffs that make the hero even stronger. Granted, I might have saw a spoiler that Kiriko got nerfed earlier by someone in the chat, so we'll see. Anyway, dev comment is this change is reducing the burst damage potential of the secondary fire railgun shot to both lessen frustration from playing against that burst damage and to shift power into a sustained primary fire damage. This should smooth out the feast or famine nature of Sojourn consistently hitting the secondary fire shots. Yeah, but the problem is that now that you can pierce players, if players are stacked, you're just applying more DPS passive over time. Not only are you going to have, like, I don't know. It feels like a buff. It feels like a buff to me, but we'll see. Symmetra. Photon projector, primary fire charge rate increased 25%. Uh-oh. Base health increased from 100 to 125 to 275. Oh, no. You're going to have fun, Symmetra players. Tank players, good luck. To help solidify Symmetra as a close-range threat, we're increasing her health to better survive in that range, along with how quickly her primary fire beam damage ramps up. Yeah, good luck, tank players. Just so you know, anytime they give Symmetra an extra 25 HP, it doesn't go well. Good luck. And they made it so it charges up faster on you. Good luck. All right, here we go. Ayari. The outburst, which is like your ability to move, damage increased from 10 to 25. Healing Pylon. Healing per projectile increased from 30 to 40. Okay, this next statement makes more sense. Pylon healing is now only half as effective when targeting a Yari, which means that for teammates, it will heal for 40. For a Yari, it will only heal Yari for 20, which actually, I kind of like the idea of that. Mainly because one of the problems people have with a Yari is you just put a pylon, you off angle, and you just heal yourself. Now it's a little bit less effective. So I actually like that. And then keep in mind, add the DPS passive to that, right? So 20, well, 10% of 20 is 2, so it's going to heal for 16 if you're even shot by a DPS. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Pylon, and then max health increase from 100 to 125. That I don't like. Make the pylon easy to kill. I'm telling you. You make that pylon tough, once again, as a tank player, it sucks trying to kill that pylon. Ayari's healing pylon is intended to be useful for healing her team in relatively safe positions without much focus required, which enables her to either apply pressure with her primary fire or spot heal and burst from her more limited secondary fire healing beam. To encourage this, it has now improved health and healing output. I don't think you need to increase HP on it, but is less effective when a Yari uses it to heal herself. I'll leave this as is, but don't be surprised to see people start complaining about the max health in that. Kiriko! Okay! It's a nerf! Swift Step. Cooldown increase from 7 to 8 seconds. Feels good. Protection Suzu. No longer cleanses hard knockdown stuns. Shatter will now work. Your Shatter can no longer be Suzu'd. There you go. Yep. Shatter got buffed. There it is. So, it finally happened. I mean, I'm sure there's been more patches here, but I feel like it's finally happened. It has finally happened. Kiriko got an actual just straight up nerf. All right. Now we have Coliseo. Remove the glass and added stairs at the first checkpoint for additional pathing and combat opportunities. Extended the map with a new lowered section and mega health pack behind the second checkpoint for flank rotational strategies. Added a route through a building that connects spawn/final points to the second checkpoint. The initial spawn building has been pulled back to give players more room to smoothly navigate the area out front. There is no added run back. With this change, the stairs and covers surrounding the final point have been adjusted to improve the flow to the space and to help teams safely defend the final point. Also, side note, I do want to give my summary on like the balance changes. Is it me? And keep in mind, I'm gonna talk about this just for a little bit. Is it me, or have they gone really light on balance changes again? And the idea of shifting metas and like shifting things out just isn't happening anymore. And they've gone on like really light balance changes each season to where it doesn't really change the identity of the season. The only thing that really does is the battle pass. Like it just changes the identity of what the season is. So like, I'm not saying we won't see a meta shift, but I feel like they need to start being more aggressive just for the sake of like people want to see changes to the game and keeping like very light buffs. Like people, I just feel like I feel like there needs to be more aggressive changes, whether or not it will be good or bad. I think players just like to see change. And Season 9 was a really good example of that, right? Where Season 9 was such a major change to the game, but it made players interested in the game at that, right? Do you get what I'm saying? But like when you don't make major changes and you're telling players just come back for these things, that can be difficult. So I'm hoping for a bit more aggressive balance changes going to the mid-season, but I feel like we've been saying that for like the past 3 seasons, and maybe I'm looking for more than I should be asking for with that. But I feel like players just want the game to feel fresh. And it's not going to feel fresh if they're going to load into their ranked game today. It's going to feel very similar. But we'll see. I'll give it time. I'm always one of those people that I'm not going to overreact intensely to it until I see how it plays. Also, I love these changes here. These changes are great. Just looking at all these. I love that. This is the before here. They added this little thing right here, right? Look at that. I mean, that's great. It feels like you can battle this a lot easier with more cover. Push map. Ooh. Reduce the match time from 10 to 8 minutes in quick play. Okay, I actually, I don't mind that. I think 8 minutes in quick play is fine. Leaving 10 minutes in comp, I think that kind of just fits into the vibe of what they're aiming for. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Increase the push bot robot speed by 10% when pushing the barricade for both quick play and comp. Oh, wow. So the game is just, the bot's going to push further. Okay. Bug fixes, they just fixed some Nabani stuff. Heroes, I don't really. I'm just looking at all that. Okay. So those are the patch notes for this.